K-Rock 955, Tom Loggie's special guest joining us in the studio, mate.
I know, two very special guests.
And can I just say you're controlling yourself wonderfully well.
I know. Okay, there's been a bit of a concern that I wouldn't be able to do my job because I can't really do it correctly most of the time. So when there is a guest of this nature in, it is difficult for me, but I'm holding it together. We now welcome into the studio Mitch Talbot. Now, Mitchie is here for National Diabetes Awareness Day, which is happening on Sunday, to tell us all about diabetes. And also he has brought in his lovely assistance dog, Lucy, who is also here as well. And we welcome you both. Hello.
How are we going, guys?
Yeah, good, thanks. So how do we operate with Lucy around? Are we allowed to laugh? Like, you're not allowed to touch the assistance dogs? And so are we allowed to be loud? Or?
Yeah, you guys can do. She's pretty much trained for loud noises and stuff like that. I take her to the footy. She supports the Bulldogs. So sorry,
does she?
Sorry to the Cats fans. But yeah, we've taken her to quite a number of big events, a lot of live music and stuff.
Yeah.
She comes to the pub when we're allowed to.
Yeah, cool.
Now we can, so it's awesome.
Beautiful.
So, sweet, yeah. So be cool, but just be normal.
Just be normal. I'm
talking to you, mate.
I know you are, and I'm really trying. And she is a beautiful dog. We will get to her in a minute, but I'm really struggling because I really want to talk more about her. But look, Mitchie, you are here for a very special reason. Here to tell us more about diabetes and the Don't Ignore the Four, which is the big message for National Diabetes Awareness Day.
Yeah, so the big four is being pushed really strongly by the local charity in Geelong, which is the Type 1 Foundation. That is obviously increased thirst, so that's why it's a water bottle this year, where they're trying to sell and raise funds and awareness. But increased urination, thirst, rapid weight loss and fatigue are the four major indicators of Type 1 in their early stages. And if anyone's got that, and all those four, it's best to have a chat with your local GP to get a test and start the ball rolling.
So if you feel like you're in the middle of the desert all the time.
And you need to pee not today but last year. It's probably maybe a time to have a chat.
Okay. And you're speaking from experience because you've gone through that yourself?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed when I was 19. And I was working as a chef in hospo, so I just took it down to hospo hours, being tired and fatigued all the time.
Sure.
But the amount of water I was drinking was in excess of like 4 or 5 litres of water, up to 6 litres of water a day, plus sugary drinks and Red Bull, trying to keep myself energied, full of energy. And basically I just came to a collapse at work, had my blood sugar level tested by, or BGL, by the paramedics, and it was off the scale.
Sure.
Okay.
I ended up spending 2 weeks in hospital and was later diagnosed with Type 1 at like a late onset. So.
And I guess the thing is, if you didn't see these signs, could it have got, I mean, you ended up in hospital anyway.
Yeah.
But if for people that are ignoring those signs continually, you can end up in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so it's a pretty I didn't really take it, I didn't really see it as bad as what it could have been. And that is what I found out later on in life. If you don't look after yourself as far as your blood glucose comes, you can go into this thing which is known as diabetic ketone acidosis, which is where your blood becomes toxic, you become insulin resistant, and you can spiral into a coma and die. And that's before insulin was first created. That was basically how diabetics died.
Yeah.
They were basically saying from when you were diagnosed, you basically go on a starvation diet. And diabetics, it's basically a death sentence. You had about 2 years you could extend your life out until Dr. Benning, a Canadian doctor, essentially created insulin.
Yeah.
So it was something that basically, you became diabetic. All right, sweet, you got 2 years, and you have to basically starve yourself. Now, thank God for modern science. We have a relatively normal life, but you just got to be conscious about what you eat and how you go look after yourself.
Okay. And so just to clarify, type 1 versus type 2, which one's the one that's genetic and kind of hereditary? And the other one?
So type 1 is an autoimmune illness.
Yeah,
so
okay.
that you have a hereditary precursor for it, but anyone can really get type 1. It's where your body attacks your pancreas, beta cells in your pancreas, and basically kills it. And type 2 is something that can be also hereditary, but normally is along lifestyle choices or medications that you take that can bring it on. So,
So, and also type 1, because, excuse my ignorance on the matter as well, but type 1, is that where you have to sort of pinprick yourself with a little test all the time, check your levels? You've got your jelly babies ready to go in your pocket if you need them. Is that for both of them? Or?
Yeah, so all diabetes, you should be checking your blood quite regularly.
Yeah.
Type 1 is where you would check it and then administer insulin or sugar, depending on how low or how high you were. So, but yeah, it's pretty much along those lines. You should always be checking your blood.
Yeah.
All right, you brought the beautiful Lucy into the studio this morning. Loggie's very excited, as we mentioned, because we don't get to have dogs in here.
Never, Mitchie. Honestly, never. And the reason you contacted us as well is because you're like, Loggie keeps talking about Lingy bringing in his puppy.
Yeah.
Lingy's not doing that.
Yeah.
You know, he's letting the team down. So Mitchie's like, well, I'm going to come in. So thank you, Mitchie.
No, that's all right. I'm happy to.
So Lucy's a chocolate lab, and she's very clever. What's she been trained to do?
Yeah, so Lucy's a 3-year-old chocolate Labrador, and she's trained to detect the scent changes in my body to correspond with either a hypo, which is a low glycemic event, or hyper, which is where my blood glucose value goes high, which is they're both life-threatening conditions.
Sure.
Wow.
And I don't have awareness. I can't detect it in myself anymore.
Okay, yeah.
So she does that for me. So the main reason why we got her is about 4 years ago, I had a low so bad in my sleep that I went into a coma.
Oh, my God, Mitchie.
My wife woke up to me basically having a seizure.
God,
and
how horrifying.
I spent, quite a few weeks in hospital in intensive care to keep me alive and well. So,
wow.
Get the dog.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so it was an option that we had to basically get Lucy, and we started training her and got her to a stage where she was live alerting, waking me up. If I don't wake up, she goes and gets my wife, because she knows that if I don't look after myself, my wife will scream at me.
You're very clever.
Yeah.
You're very clever little girl.
She's beautiful. With medical assistance dogs as well, do you cop flack sometimes for having them? Because I think that people don't realise how important these animals are. I think people, when it comes for people who are blind, you know, we're used to that.
It for that.
People are used to seeing that. But medical assistance dogs, I know how important they are. I feel that a lot of people sometimes don't know how important they are. How do you feel when you take Lucy around?
Commonly, everyone's great.
Okay,
we're probably talking about, there's always those maybe 3 or 4% of a chance that I'm going to cop someone that doesn't understand or is a bit ignorant to the situation. But majority, it's not kids. Everyone thinks, the kids would be worse for it, because kids are taught in school about assistance dogs.
Yeah, good.
So assistance dogs is the big umbrella in Australia.
Yeah.
And guide dogs work under that. So that's their task, is they guide their handler around safely. Medical alert dogs are probably the unknown factor to that, but what's another more common dog is probably a post-traumatic stress or a psychiatric assistance dog.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of ex-servicemen, fire and emergency services have those type of dogs, and medical alert is just that little bit to the side where they're all on the same playing field. They all do very crucial work. But it's probably not as known, and especially diabetic alert dogs aren't very known in Australia. Big in America.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we've been rejected out of Ubers and restaurants. Some people kind of turn their nose up a little bit, but sometimes it's just like it's not worth the battle. It's like, if you're not willing to take my money, that's fine. I'll go somewhere else. It's just,
and it's not worth it for you and your health.
No,
what will happen if Lucy notices that in you? What actually does she do?
So she'll actually paw, which is probably not the smartest decision, because she has big paws now. When she was a puppy, it was quite cute. Now she puts about 30 kilos of weight through it. So she'll sit next to me. She nuzzles a little bit with her snoot, her nose. But then out comes this big paw and smacks me. And there's nothing like 40 kilos of Labrador just jumping up on you in bed. She does bark, depending on how severe it is and whether I'm ignoring her.
And then you would then sit down, or you tell your wife, call an ambulance,
if normally we've got it trained, so it's not, I don't need any medical intervention. It's as simple as me just having a Mars bar
Yeah.
which is-
Okay.
which is
Oh,
great.
good. Mars bar time. Yeah. Pour in the face.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah.
So yeah, normally it's as simple as having a little bit of sugar, but the whole point for her is to stop me from getting into hospital.
Okay. And does she stop pouring at you when she sees the Mars bar come out, or do you have a safe word like pineapple?
It's actually coconut.
Okay, close.
Oh,
close.
well,
eh?
there we go.
No, normally I just tell her like, good girl, give her a treat, and then she'll just wait around. But normally there's the face of Labrador concern, and she'll just stare at me until everything's fine again.
Yeah.
So-
Wow. Oh, well, there you go. Well, you've done an amazing job with her, because if Wombi, my red healer, was in at the moment, he would not be sitting just like this all
You certainly
calm.
have a
He's-
scratched face. He's got formed for scratching face, particularly with children.
I was wanting to know why don't you bring Wombi in as the team mascot? Kind of thing?
Thank you, Mitch.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'd like to know the same. We should.
So just quickly, can she detect changes in anybody else, or is it specifically tuned into your frequency?
So earlier on, we were at a restaurant, and she started like pulling on the lead a little bit.
Yeah.
And she went over to a table and sat next to this gentleman, and I didn't exactly like praise her for it, but I worked out that he wasn't diabetic, but he had chemotherapy.
Oh my God.
And supposedly one of the reactions to chemotherapy is like an imbalance in your glucose in your blood. And he actually said, I'm not diabetic, but I have to check my sugars. Thanks for letting me know.
Oh my God.
And it's the only time that she's alerted to somebody else. But it was it was great. But at the same time, I want her focusing on me.
Of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's
Oh, what a gem.
Because then all of a sudden you're at the footy and she's like sitting everywhere and
Yeah.
good girl, and all of a
Well,
sudden she's getting hot dogs and chips. They're expensive at the footy.
I've got like not the best diet. I love my lollies, and I eat them a lot. But I've been checked out recently for diabetes, and I get checked every so often just because of my diet, literally. But I was a little bit concerned about having you guys in today, because I thought, what will I do if she comes and like sits next to me? But so far she's not interested in me, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah. No. It's a good indication that you're doing all right.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Okay.
All right, Mitchie, tell us, Type 1 Foundation, how do we get involved with the push that we've got going on this year?
Yeah, so the Type 1 Foundation, obviously the website there's got a nice little store. You can buy a heap of merch. There's hoodies, stickers, all sorts of stuff. It's type1foundation.com.au. That's just my pump. Sorry about it.
I was going to say, do we need to evacuate you?
It's all good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, on Facebook group, there's a few different pages that you guys, if you're diabetic and you want to get involved, the Type 1 Foundation has a Facebook group.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a support page. And as well, they're on all the socials as well. But it's a great foundation. They support newly diagnosed families, especially in juvenile situations. They put care packs in hospitals, and they do marvellous work. Angie and her team of all volunteers, so they do it out of the goodness of their heart.
Great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great local charity.
Well, they are a great local charity. You're a wonderful ambassador for them. Thank you so much for coming in, Mitch.
Fresh Daily with Tom and Loggy on K-Rock 955.